New parts are rusted.
That's crazy.
And they were in the box. Alright, anything.
You're on.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put the new case in here. Ultima case. Let's see, that's a 104, 105, so that's slightly narrow, but we'll see how it works. So this comes pre-fitted, theoretically. We'll see how good that is. Oil. So I'm going to lubricate this, because it might not be in here for lucky. Most likely we'll have to take this apart. So bearings, you just put oil on the outside edge here. Like that. And you put your two fingers in there and go like that. And it lubricates the whole bearing. See how the oil comes down? Slick, huh?
Gravity either works for or against you.
Yeah, it helps you a little bit. Okay, make sure you do not forget to put the ring in. So get that in there right now. Let's get on the other side of the vise. Now we can use the S&S tool, the tool I like. So I use the tool I like. If anybody wants some S&S tool, there's one right over there. I don't use it. See in the box.
Oh, there you go.
That was a waste of $500. I like my $60 tool from the 80s. It works just fine. Of course, it's been modified. I made this piece, added these, and put a bearing in it. Now it looks a lot better. What's nice about this is it takes longer to do. I get paid more, right?
There you go.
Sure I do. It allows me to put a constant torque on the whole assembly so I can check it in play. The S&S one cannot do that. It just pushes down until it hits and it stops. You cannot put a steady force on it. This one is like tightening a bolt. You can put torque on it. So you can check in play. So the other one you can't check in play, so it's a flat guess what you really have. That goes all the way down. See, I got a thrust bearing in there, which makes it a lot easier to go down. Okay. The washer disappeared.
Couldn't have gone far.
Make sure you don't forget to put that on. I mentioned that, didn't I?
You did.
Must be important. Make sure the rod goes where they belong, otherwise it'll be a problem. See how they go in between the hole there? You got bearing number 2. Now the oil makes it hard to measure the in-play because it takes up that feel we're looking for, or feeling for. But if I don't have to go back in here again, then at least I know it's got oil on it. Now what's in between down there?
It is a very important washer.
You got that right. You were listening. That's good. You always want to back it off, make sure it's centered so it doesn't bind. The sleeves are in the way. Gives you upper body workout. It's kind of like cranking the mill up.
There you go.
Except this one, you get to use both arms at once.
Now the mill, you just have to change arms.
That's right. Okay, see how I got torque on that?
Mm-hmm.
Constant load. You see how it freely floats?
Mm-hmm.
See, it's trying to fall actually a little bit. That means you got some clearance. Okay, next thing you do is you move it back and forth a little bit, make a rotation, and then try to feel in play. I don't feel any in play. So it's not real tight, but there's no in play I can feel. Like I said, the oil can mask some of that. So I'm not getting any. Now he's going to drive this hard or not drive it hard?
No, this guy doesn't drive it hard at all.
Oh, okay. If you break it in, you can run stuff like this. Still don't feel any inflow though. I'm on gear. Get out of the way under there. Another upper body workout. Okay. Expanding pliers. Damn it. These pliers are getting worn out. Which means they don't work as good as they used to. Here it pops in there.
Yep.
After it's in, you rotate it, make sure it's stuck in there. And I like having the groove up toward the top. You want to make sure you got your in play in there, see? And then you eyeball it, make sure it looks like it's in there too, which it looks like in there, feels like it's in there. Probably in there. Now you see how that works now. Here's the other half. Put oil on the case bearing. Definitely got to put some on the cam bearing. Ah, that is sharp. The back of my finger. See, didn't deburr that steel race right there?
Yep.
See the ledge right there? Guess how I found that? There might be some real blood in there. You're not bleeding, you're not working hard, right?
We're in.
No binding. Okay, give it a few rotations, let the rollers, the taper rollers center themselves up. And then you'll feel, see if you can feel anything. Do you hear it?
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit.
So even though I don't hear it, feel it in the stem, it might be the case halves though. I think it was the case halves. I don't think there's any, I think we're at zero in play on that main bearing. Pinch this. Yeah, it might be a thou in there. Pretty damn tight. See, this flywheel should be going up and down a little bit. So is he going to break it in a good 1,000 miles before he gets after it, or?
Yeah, I mean, again, this guy, I doubt he'll ever get after it.
Okay. Because this is very tight. It's for like a touring application where you don't ride very hard, just a lot of mileage. So we'll leave it at this number, but otherwise I'd put a thou more in that spacer. Get some more in play. Because it's really tight. Hear it?
Yep.
That's all you got. You can see the crank moving when I get the leverage on it.
Yep.
But that's not very much. Okay, so we're going to let this one slide. So we have a lot more clearance on this side, see? That's how I like this flywheel to be for normal applications. Now the temp can well loosen up, but it takes 1,000 miles at least to do anything. See, that's what I can't do with the S&S tools, have that torque on there like that. Get out a little bit. There are some advantages to old slow tools. They can do more than one thing. Okay, so now off. Wipe down your gasket surface. Make sure there's no oil residue on there.
Look for the sharp edges.
No, trying to avoid those right now. See, I get a little bit of goop on there.
Mm-hmm.
The gasket sealer doesn't like to stick to residue oils and shit, so tends to just kind of ball up and not want to stick. Now see how there needs a real mirror finish on here?
Mm-hmm.
Harley now has gone to a really rough textured finish.
You know, what's the reasoning behind that?
Gives the sealer something to bite against. So if you use a crappy sealer that has no bite, you need the ridges to help hold it in. If you have a good sealer, it'll bite in this real fine edge. And you got two different theories out there on which one's better. Used to be a head gaskets were that way, you had them real rough all the time, so you got something for the gasket to hold to, bite to. Nowadays they got new gaskets that actually work, and you can't get them too smooth. Smoother the better. Different theories. Okay, we're using our 3-bond. This is what I use for the case sealer. Make sure you get the goo off your fingers. Oh, we got room for new goo. Now this is all on there, your bearings on there, you got to make sure everything's all done. Because if you put together and forget to put that snap ring on there, the bearing will come out. You'll have a knock in your motor. So everything's lubed up, good to go. You know, all the plugs are in. You make sure everything's good, and then you go ahead and start putting it together for real. I like putting a nice thin layer on and not a big gob of crap that goes inside your motor and plugs up everything. This 3-bond will break up and go away if it does get in the motor. So you just need a nice thin layer, doesn't have to be 100%. So I can't get back in there, the dowel pin. It's alright. We'll do the other half, it'll be in there. See, it sticks really good to this nice machine surface here. Those rougher cases, it tends to ball up and not want to stick for some reason. This is bonding really nice. It likes it. Now, we don't have to put it in a hole or anything, just make sure you get all the areas you need. You see I got that register down in there? I'm not putting in that, see. If I put it in there, it's going to want to go inside the motor, which I don't want to go inside the motor. Alright. Just like on this lip here, here's the other half of the register. I'm not putting anything on that register. I'm putting it into the register on this side. So this actually tries to keep it from going into the motor, that little lip. So I put it right up next to it, pack it in there. So a little bit on top, but I don't need it in there. If it's on the inside, just wipe it out. But I do want to make sure it's inside that lip. I'm getting some on the top of the lip too, but I'm not really concerned about that. I'm trying to get it inside. See, it's got a groove cut in there a little bit, a little radius. You're trying to get it packed into that. Now when you put the cases together, it's going to take that little layer that I'm putting in there, and it's going to squish it out. It'll squish in a little bit, but mainly goes out. It's not much of a lip, not too much goes to the inside. Obviously you don't want it on the inside because it's in the motor then. If I just squeeze a big lot of crap all the way around, it's just going to make a big mess and go everywhere.
Yeah, in the motor, out of the motor, on the ground, all over the bench.
All everywhere, but and it probably won't even go all the way in like I'm doing it where it's in that groove. It probably won't even go in there. It'll probably just squish out and not even be there. So it's still probably a leak. All you're doing is making a big mess and not gaining anything. See, the only mess I got a little goop on my finger. Whoopsie. That's what rags are for. It comes off.
When it's wet?
It actually comes off better when it dries. It just kind of balls up and falls apart. Okay, you see how this is starting to dry up already? And this side is too, so it's kind of tacky looking.
Yep.
Goes. Put it around. There's the old bolts. There's the new bolts. I'll make sure I don't hit the new motor over here. Maybe we have too many motors on the workbench right now. Okay, this one had 2 1/4-inch screws in here, and the rest of them are all the same. So you have a long one and a short one. Short one goes there, long one goes there. So you get about a 1/2 inch sticking up on both. That's what you're after. These I think are all the same now. Now they got one short one in here still.
There you go.
One short one. That goes right here. Make sure they start. And all these other ones are the same. See, they got about 3/4 of an inch of thread in there. That means you can torque them pretty damn good because there's a lot of thread on them. These have the dowels that line the case up, so they stay pretty good. Stay lined pretty nice. Okay, so I got all the bolts started. No binding that I can feel. So we're good. You can't torque an Allen very tight unless you hit it hard with a lot of grunt. So a 1/2 inch zip gun with an adapter has a lot of grunt.
There you go.
It'll torque real hard quick. So you kind of push it in hard and then you let it You kind of coast it in, and you get one blip once it's in. That's it. That's tight. That's all it takes. You get the four corners of the case. Now, Allens you can't torque very hard, so this is why you gotta do it this way. Now you have to know what your tools are so you know how tight you get stuff, but they're tight. Okay, then for this one here, I do the same thing, but I use a 3/8. Less torque. Smaller bolt, doesn't need as much. It's in there. Factory torque. Good, tight.
There you go.
Did it look like it was tight?
Looks tight to me.
The crank does rotate, which is a good sign. Okay, now you see how it's got a nice even layer. It's pooched out all the way around. That's what you want to see, so you know you had enough in there. But you don't have big globs of it sticking out, which means you overdid it. And we also have to go in and clean off the inside of here.
And probably the base gasket surface.
Yes. At the same time, you're making sure it's nice and even and flat. See how flat that is? Those dowel pins really hold it good. Now you see where the rod got a little bit right on it right here?
Yep.
Just wipe it down a little bit. See how it smears around first?
Yep.
And you come back, hit it again. Just kind of balls up and disappears. See? Silicone doesn't usually do that. It just keeps going. See how it just kind of goes away? That's what's nice about this 3-bond. It'll break up and just go away. But the bad part of the black, it never does actually all the way go away in the black on the wrinkle. So it leaves a mark. Okay. On the other side. Looks like I already did that one. So I'll do this one here. Now this rag has a little bit of solvent and stuff on it, that's why I kept it around dirty. The solvent helps break up the bond to the aluminum, so it actually frees it up, makes it come off a little easier. It doesn't really dissolve it, it just shoves a layer between it and the aluminum so it doesn't bite as much. See a pretty good layer come off. See how it went into the black? It's going to stay in that black. If you go in there with some brake clean and stuff, you can probably get it off, but I'm not that technical about it. If you want it more than that, you can do it yourself. Make sure you're off the motor mount area, the pad, otherwise it won't sit in the frame evenly.
Yeah, you got a pretty decent amount on the bench that you're starting to pick up on the case.
Yeah, I know. I want to get down here and get this motor mount area first. The bottom I do last because I don't really care about it. I care all about the mounting surfaces. Cosmetics I'm not as concerned about. All right. Now you go here and clean the bench up. That side's clean. I already know I did this side here, so I can go that direction without making a mess. This over here, you just wipe it up. Same deal, see it kind of goes away. You go and get the bottom. You just give it one stroke all the way around, see? Start down there, work your way around the circle. Most things I do is a pattern that we don't have to worry about. Remember what the hell you didn't do. If you always do stuff about the same way each time, I know when I time up to here, I probably already did this.
There you go.
That's just how I do it. Imagine if you had that red silicone on there, how nice that would look with that blue. That'd look bitchin', wouldn't it?
That'd be awesome.
Like I said, if you want it better than that, you can do it yourself. There's plenty of opportunity for the dip here. So you spin around to this side. You see, I already got that side because it came from the other direction. See? All right. Now, for some reason, I thought I saw a couple spots here on the inside. I have no idea how that got in there. Obviously, at some point, it squeezed a little bit in there from a bolt or something. I'm not sure what. I don't usually get stuff on the flywheels. I saw those two spots when I first turned it. There you go. It spins nice and free, no noises, no clunks. There you go. It's supposed to be. Okay, next thing we're going to get the seal over here. Try not to bang that motor. Okay, they gave us a brand new piece over here, which I haven't looked at yet. It's like S&S. I wouldn't be surprised they didn't buy it from S&S. See, that's a nice real high finish on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how S&S stuff is. Okay. Seal doesn't look like it's all that very good, but just a normal seal. Nothing fancy. So, make sure you clean this off real good. I'm going to grab that James set see if it has a better seal. James used to have a really good seal, but they went downhill here a few years ago. So I don't know if they still got a better one with the James in. I haven't really had any problems with these, but if you got access to a better seal in your kit, you might as well use it, right?
Agreed.
It's red. It's got to be better.
No, there you go.
We'll see.
It obviously goes faster as it is red.
Yeah, definitely. Makes all the difference in the world. Here's our point. Okay. No wiper in it. See, they used to have a wiper in there that helps put the oil back in the motor. So it's still a cheap ass seal in that respect.
It's identical except for the rust.
Actually, this has a lot more holding power. Here, switch. Feel it with your fingers, the rubber lip. No, pick it up. Okay, compress the lip. Roll it a little bit with your finger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, feel how much tension it takes to do that one? Now
Yep.
feel that one.
Ah,
It's like half.
Absolutely. And it by eye it looks like the diameter on the like there's more
So
rubber.
this has a lot more stiffer seal lip, so that means it puts more tension on the spacer, which will hopefully make it seal better. But this has lower drag for racing applications.
Ah,
So it's up to you to figure out which one you want. Low drag racing
or not leaking.
or high drag street bike stuff. Purely up to you. There it is. In the real world, both work. Here's my official tool that I haven't made a new one yet. One of these years I'm going to make a real one. It's only been 20-something years now. So.
Well, it looks like a real one.
Well, it's not exactly how you should be doing it.
Does it really set it in there properly?
Well, I haven't had any comebacks yet.
Well, there you go. It's a real tool then.
So we put oil in there so it doesn't run dry when you first start it. Very important. We put it on backwards and you roll it in there, see how you compress it and then let it come in. So you make sure your lip stays in there. Now it's ready for installation. And notice it already has rust on it. So it looks really good. So we slip that over there like that. I want to make sure it went over the crank. It finally did, but then it went in too far. And it does go in the crank. Sometimes they go in really hard on the crank. Okay. Now you want to make sure that that spacer is inside the seal. You don't beat the seal in over the spacer, it screws up the lip. Now I just hold that right there, and I hit this without hitting the end of the crank. Hitting hard, that means it's flush all the way around. I didn't even hit the crank once. Wipe off the excess. That's all the way in, it appears. I thought that went a little bit deeper than that, but it's in there, I guess. It rotates, so that's good. Wipe off all that ugly red. Ah, shit.
I got you.
Alright, got it. Close quarters right here, see?
Yep.
Nice and clean. Now you want to get that in there as soon as you can so the oil stays in the bearing and doesn't run out on the floor or on your bench while you're figuring out what else to do. Make sure it still rotates. It does. Good. I see a little bit of something right there I don't like. See?
Oh yeah, that hair?
Yeah, whatever that is. That's a piece of steel. Part of the bearing race popping out. Yeah, a piece came off it. Yeah, you want to try to get those out there if you find them. That's called improper deburring. Nobody deburrs anymore, so you get those little slivers of metal, which winds up in your motor, which is not a good place for them. Alright, so seeing how it's now tomorrow because it's after midnight, I think he's going to have to wait until next week for me to finish his motor now.
There you go.